Hey folks, Randy Newberg here with another episode of Leupold's Hunt Talk Radio. Hope you're all doing great this summer. Today I have a guest he's a very, very interesting guy. A lot of you have seen his work or at least heard his work and you didn't even know it. It's the guy who edits this podcast, Joe Johnson. And Joe's out here with his wife on a vacation in Montana. And every time he and I get together, he has so many funny stories, so many stories about his journey into hunting, his path of becoming an advocate for wild places and wild things. And I just thought it'd be interesting to let him tell some of those stories and also let him, I guess, explain to all of you what he's got to do on the back end of this stuff, because he edits this podcast. He edits the Elk Talk podcast for us. He edits Hal Herring's Carrying the Fire podcast. And Joe's just a really, really interesting guy. He's very interested in conservation and the history and how that leads to advocacy. And so quick as I get done with this little intro here, I'm going to invite him in, and he and I are going to have another one of those fun conversations. Appreciate you being here. Well, folks, this is an interesting podcast. My guest today, Joe Johnson, has been editing this podcast for what, almost 10 years?
10 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's such a funny, you're out in Bozeman, you and your wonderful wife are here. It sounds to me like you're trying to convince her that you guys should maybe relocate.
That's certainly an unconscious ulterior motive constantly running in the back of my mind. In fact, what was driving through Paradise Valley, through to see Yellowstone a couple days ago. You know, you get a little bit of snow, you get a little bit of rain, then the clouds open up on the Custer Gallop, and she just said, "Did you call ahead and tell somebody cue the mountains?" Cue the wildlife, because it's been that perfect on this visit. Every time we ran into you, like before the North American Pronghorn Foundation benefit randomly. Yeah. And it's been perfect this entire time, aside from her illness, which she's currently dealing with. But yeah, of course, why not? It's the last best place.
This time in Montana, it can be so beautiful because it's greened up a little bit in the foothills. And then on the days like you saw, you get snow right down to the valley. You just look around and you're like, wow. Yeah, it's stunning.
We walked out, you walk out of a hotel and there's a mountain, boom. Or you're just driving and there's clouds covering the peaks of the mountains. And it's really phenomenal. We're just driving the Madison Valley yesterday. Yeah. We're coming up out of West Yellowstone and I said, there's all those taller foothills, so you can't see much coming out of it. And I said, just keep your eye over there, and you'll see it eventually. And when she did, she was like, holy moly. Yeah.
No. Well, in the introduction, Joe, I said, if you looked like the guy in the commercial about the Dos Equis commercial, the most interesting man in the world, you don't look like him, but your story has got to be more interesting. His story cannot be as interesting as yours.
Okay. I guess I do have quite a few stories.
Well, just all the things that you've done, right? You're the only guest I've ever had that grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, now lives in big-time New York City, and hunts. Yeah. I bet you there's more hunters in Bozeman than there is in New York City.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No? Oh, okay.
I mean, that's probably true per capita, for sure.
But, per capita. I was thinking in total maybe. But
no, I think there's a lot in New York City. Shockingly enough, like there's people that'll make the trek to various private properties in Westchester, New Jersey. Lots of Long Island hunters. But I don't particularly know that many of them there. But I do know the taxidermist I use is kind of in that like upper crust community of landowners that stock pheasants, for example, on their estates. and do that kind of thing. But yeah, it is, especially among like, let's say like musicians, which is what I'm trained as.
Yeah.
That I don't know that many outside of perhaps the country side of things. I used to play bass for Ray Price.
Right.
And
there we go.
There you go.
This is one of the first steps to the most interesting man in the world. Joe Johnson was the bass player for Ray Price. And so if you're a country music junkie like I am,
sure,
you know how old Ray Price
was
relative to you.
Mm-hmm. I was 23 when I started with him.
And how old was he at that time? 70s?
It was late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. So you're traveling with this, I can say this because I'm old geezer.
But a wild old geezer.
Wild? Really?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I can even say it. Some of the stuff.
Every time, so I have XM radio, and I listen to Willie's Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And he's on there regularly. And that's when you get these images of me, of a photograph of my radio display.
The other woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. You know, what's funny is that's the only radio station Ray listened to on the road. So if we were in the bus together, it was always Willie's Roadhouse.
Yeah. So how old was the rest of the band compared to you?
Oh, real combination. Like I was 23, so I think some of the members were in their 50s, 60s. You know, his son was in the band. It was a real combination of dudes that would come out of Nashville or guys that were living in East Texas as his neighbors that could kind of just sing harmony with him, or facilitate whatever other ulterior needs he would have on the road. I don't know. So, yeah, that was a wild one, man. I just took my bass home once on a Thanksgiving from Texas where I was going to college, and they called me and they said, "Do you want this gig with Ray Price?" And I said, "I don't know who Ray Price is." I was a jazz musician, I said, I'm in Kansas City. And they said, "Great, we're driving through Kansas City to Nebraska for this gig. We'll pick you up." So I just, I sight read on the gig. I did it, and they said, "Do you want to play with us?" I said, "Sure, I'm down. I'll see you in Texas." So we did a bunch of tours. We played the Opry together. I think I sent you that video.
Yeah.
And I played with Chris Christopherson through him, Willie through him, and a bunch of other folks. But, that was when I was doing jazz stuff too, and you do that. I would say the other most interesting fact is I was in the circus.
That's also on my notes. So Joe's telling me all this when he's out here a year or so ago, 2 years. I don't know.
Right, we came up for the BHA Rendezvous last year.
Yeah. And we spent the better part of a day together, and you're telling me you were in the circus for a while.
Yeah, I was.
Like, hanging out with a bunch of carnies and the fat lady and the three-headed midget and all the other things that...
Midget.
Right? I mean,
I know who edits this
Serpent
podcast.
Man and whatever.
100%. Yeah.
So what was your role in the circus?
I was playing music. I was living on a train playing the bass and just looking at taking it all in. You play 3 shows a day sometimes, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And you live on the train. You travel by train. Sometimes if you have a car, you'll just drive to the next city and meet the train there.
Is this like Barnum and Bailey?
It's literally Ringling Brothers.
The
oldest tour. I was on the red line, the red unit, which is the original red, the original tour.
With the elephants and
100%.
zebras and giraffes.
Actually, one of my good friends, her name's Karen, she was a 7th generation horse and zebra trainer, and she trained the zebras and the horses on the circus. I have a picture somewhere.
7th generation. So is everybody who's in the Ringling Brothers is this like? Oh, I want my parents' job.
Well, in fact, there's a school that travels with Ringling Brothers. So
no way.
100%. So let's say this is so fun. It sounds so funny.
See, this is what I said, folks. The most interesting man in America is right here in this studio in Bozeman, Montana.
What's so funny about it is that this is going to sound hilarious, but to me it was just my reality. Is that the guy, they got the husband and wife team that got shot out of the cannon.
Yeah.
They had their kids in the circus school, and now she's doing it. So yes, there was in a school.
So what do you call the profession of the guy, the human cannonball?
Yeah, for sure. His name was Brian, and his wife Tina. I think if I recall, they were both really awesome people.
Yeah.
And they they would shoot themselves out of a cannon into a net.
Yeah.
And
filling out a credit application, occupation, human cannonball.
yeah, for sure. We'll give you a mortgage. It's just a couple points.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that. I mean, you had different troops on the circus too. Like the Chinese troop did a lot of acrobatic work. That was fascinating because they had a communist ambassador with them to make sure no one defected. They had problems in the past. Yeah.
So was the circus before or after Ray Price?
After.
After.
Yeah, I just finished this really intense program, jazz program. I had done like to get into this program, you had to spend. My audition was for 6 hours in front of like Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter and all these guys.
6 hours.
Yeah, just playing straight in front of those guys, pretty much.
Wow.
I had switched with a couple of bass players to like test others, but most of it was just me playing.
Really?
It was very hard.
So how did you end up being a bass player? Grew up doing it?
Well, I played piano since I was 3.
Oh.
So 40 years this
So
year.
you're talking to a guy who doesn't have the talent to barely play a radio, let alone play an instrument.
You just play, but you know small engine repair.
Barely.
That's what the story says.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah,
you're
that's
riding
the
with.
story. I don't know it. If I need to, I'll know it, but I don't want anyone to know I know it.
That's basically true. If I see my wife's like, "Why does a snowblower run like that?" I'm like,
I don't know.
I don't need to know. I'll just pay this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the guy comes over. I'm like, it needs it's not the floats aren't
So you
correct.
started playing the piano at 3.
Yeah, and it's all these ear training exercises, and then eventually
Ear training.
Yeah, I started with ear training. So
So
it's
like running chainsaws and working in a sawmill, I suspect, was not ear training.
No, this is like they play tapes while you're playing with your blocks or toys, and they're just playing musical exercises, and then your practice session is to play it back because you've heard it so many times. You play it back by ear. You figure it out by ear.
Wow.
So and then when I was 12, I had kind of switched schools, and I started playing the bass because like a little friend group was going to start a band. So I started playing bass, and I met a friend of mine whose dad played in blues bands in Kansas City, and we started a blues trio with me, my friend, and his dad. And the day I learned the blues, I went into a bar at the age of 12 and played the blues. I had so much to play about. And and then, I started playing blues bars since I was 12, and I kind of quit playing classical piano. I mean, it's not as exciting as a bar where, a lot of debauchery was honestly happening constantly. As a result, I just never really cared about drinking or nothing. It's just, I saw too much at a young age. And, from that, I just got really into guitar and bass, and then I became obsessed. I would say by the time I was in 6th or 7th grade, I was completely obsessed. Huh. That leads to going to school for it, and you're playing 10 hours a day, 15 hours a day. Yeah. It's like really obsessive, and composing becomes an outgrowth of that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like your ears are everything. That I remember doing my entrance tests for college, and I passed all of them, but I had never studied for them because I had been working so hard at ear training.
Really? Mm. Wow. So you're talking to a guy who's tone deaf. So
you could probably sing something.
No. No, I can't even sing Happy Birthday.
Oh,
so, yeah.
You got to sing it for my wife tomorrow, though. It's her birthday tomorrow.
Oh, wow. I'm going to let you do that, Joe.
But if you start singing it, we'll probably hear the wolves out.
Yeah. Oh, when I would sing, our dog, we're dogless now for the first time in our marriage, would howl. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Yeah. I've been taking singing lessons for a while, since February-ish. And when I get to starting, my cat will come around the piano and start meowing at me. And I know I sound good, but it's like, I'm sounding better and better and better, and my teacher's great. But the cat, for some reason, is not a fan.
Not impressed?
Not impressed at all. Wow. It's hilarious to deal with it.
So you do all this.
Yeah.
You end up... How did this springboard you into all this sound and music and other editing that you do? I mean, you edit our podcast. You edit Hal Herring's podcast.
At BHA, Elk Talk.
Yeah, Elk Talk.
Yeah.
You got a hold of me. I still remember this. It was a cold winter morning. I'm up at the legislature in Helena, Montana. I don't know how you got my phone number, but I'm standing there pumping gas at the Sinclair station. And my phone rings, and I think it was a Kansas City
816.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I have a cousin who lives in Kansas City. I'm thinking, is Cindy calling me? Hello? And you're like, hey, this is Joe Johnson. You don't know me. I'm like, no, I don't. What's your story? And your comment was, I love your podcast, but the editing is really bad. I said, yeah, because I'm doing it. And you made me a deal. You said, if you send me your next 3 episodes, I won't charge you for them. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Sure.
Well, they came back. I'm like, holy cow. this guy knows what he's doing.
Sure.
So fortunately for me, somewhere between leaving the circus and Ray Price, you took up hunting.
I did, yeah.
And started listening to hunting podcasts.
Yeah. So I moved to New York to pursue like music and sound in the commercial space. And eventually I met my wife, we moved upstate, and my neighbor got me into hunting.
Okay.
And as I was redoing some work on the house, I was like, I'd just gone through my first season just kind of shadowing my neighbor. And I was like, I just want to keep hearing more about what was going on.
Yeah.
Because it was such a fantastic experience. And then I fell across Hunt Talk. And I remember one of the first episodes was you were talking with the founders of RMEF.
Yeah.
And I also remember one of the episodes was you and Jim Posowitz.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, maybe it was the Jesuit education in me. It's like where the philosophy must exist. But it was just so engrossing, the actual the ethic and the communication, how effectively you guys communicated what I had felt within the first few hunts I'd ever been on in my life.
Yeah.
And I was so blown away by that. I just wanted to listen to more of it. There were some audio quality problems.
Serious audio quality problem.
So I remember contacting you and doing that. And I remember the first podcast, editing it, some beard noises out of it, and making it polished and nice. Just because I'm Joe from nowhere to you.
Yeah.
So you need to hear what can happen,
right.
what the tolerances are of possibilities within the dark art of audio. And I remember I was just talking to my wife about this. I remember the first time I got a check from doing it. I was I was almost emotional about it because I thought, I can't believe I love doing this.
Yeah.
Like, this is so great. And I get something I support. This is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because normally it's like, hey, do you want to write make music for an advertisement or something that perhaps isn't as connected to me?
Yeah.
But this was very meaningful to me.
Yeah. Well, you do a great job at it because you'll hear click, click. I'm clicking.
I can't wait to remove that.
Yeah. Like a lot of time. So people notice this. I'm at the ear, nose, and throat guy. He's like, how many times have you broke your nose?
Oh.
I'm like, I have no idea. He said, your septum is all messed up.
Whoa.
He's like, do you get stuffed up a lot? I'm like, yeah, all the time. So a lot of people are like, Newberg always sounds like he's stuffed up and he's a mouth breathing,
that's true,
click and clacker. And I'm like, well, I probably am. I'm sorry about that, folks, but that's why I hired Joe.
Yeah, I try. I remove as much as humanly possible.
Yeah. So in all of this, your professional world is music, audio, for really, really big things.
Yes.
But you love to hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the first time I got into it was I asked my neighbor, anytime you kill a deer, let me come over. I want to see it. I don't know anything about it. I have no opinion about it whatsoever. It just seems interesting to me.
Yeah.
I did grow up with a hunter across my road when I grew up as a boy, and we had some of the wild boar or bear or venison, but it's just not something I did.
Yeah.
So when I saw it and I saw the buck's head on the ground and tongue out and all that, I thought, this buck really knows that it's prey.
Yeah.
It has, and not only that, it has the senses to beat us constantly.
Yeah.
So I have no moral qualm here. I don't understand what the moral problem would be. And other than, obviously, it's bittersweet to take a life, and,
right.
And the landscape is a little less when we do so. But it's also even greater because we're protecting the land after that.
Yeah.
And then I said, hey, man, next time you go on a hunt, I'd like to come with you. And we did. And we got into a double tree stand. And a few hours after we got into the stand, a buck walked by.
Mm-hmm.
And we shot it. He shot it, and I tracked it with binoculars because that was my job that I was tasked with. And I watched it take its last breath by this creek. And as I've described it, it's like there was a gigantic room in my brain that had never been opened. I didn't know a door was there, and the door was just open and the light was flicked on. And I just didn't know who I was kind of anymore. Like this was a part of me I just didn't know existed.
Wow.
And from then on, it was one of those things that I'm sure everybody feels that's listening or has ever been a part of hunting. It's, you're always going to do it.
Yeah.
Forever. And from then on, it was just full tilt.
Yeah.
And I got really into it. And then I eventually switched to like public land hunting in the Catskills.
So in New York, is there? I mean, you got the Adirondacks, you got the Catskills.
Yeah, there's a lot of public land in New York.
Okay, mostly state land.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm unsure on this, but I think it's true that New York state land is the state land because it predates the national forest system.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah, one of the 13 original colonies, so it would.
well, the Catskills are there, I believe, to protect the watershed for New York City. But
Okay.
also, there was a lot of tanning that went on in the Catskills for tanning hides, and so they took all the old hemlock trees that they were reachable off, so they would strip the bark and then use the bark for tannins to tan. There are still some first growth or old growth forests in the Catskills. I'm not there, and there's a great book by a guy named Michael Kadish that's about that. And he's still alive. You can hike with them to some of those areas where they can show you. But technically, the Catskills are an eroded plateau.
Eroded plateau.
It's a plateau that the glacier eroded away.
Okay.
There's no so it's a lot of scree if you're scrambling and stuff. But yeah, and the Adirondacks. If you ever go, they're absolutely gigantic. I mean, obviously, I'm saying that to someone out west, but but they're huge, and the deer densities are very low. It's quite hard to hunt them.
Yeah.
I've not hunted them. I've ice fished in the Adirondacks, which is super fun for lake trout.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Catskills is where I'll do most of my hunting on in the mountains on public land. I don't really hunt private land.
Okay. So this whole arc of you listening and editing podcasts, because you got to listen to the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes
my condolences. Because you got my northern accent. And then you do Hal's from Alabama. Hal thinks he doesn't have an accent.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We love Hal. I mean,
he's one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite guys on the planet.
Yeah, but he's not removed all that Alabama accent.
Nor should he.
No, he shouldn't. That's Hal.
100%. And also, it's it's funny. He just knows. He's such a huge wealth of information.
Isn't he?
Oh my gosh. I'll talk to him about something, and then he'll be like, "Have you read this book about X, Y, or Z, written about by this guy way back about?" Like, okay, well, give me the gist.
Yeah, and he'll know some of the sentences verbatim.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He does that to me all the time. He's like, "Yeah, like so and so said," and I'm like,
he'll probably do the T.S. Eliot say, "We'll never cease from wandering, and when we return, we shall know it for the first time." Like he and I have that literary thing. We share that poetry together.
And so I'm like, "Hal, you're gonna have to decipher I need a decoder here. What did you just tell me?"
It's like your Little Orphan Annie decoder pen, but your Hal decoder pen.
Yeah. So anyhow, you get to edit his podcast. You did when he was the host of the BHA podcast. Yeah. You did all that. Now that he started the new podcast, Carrying the Fire, you've been editing those.
Yeah.
You edit Elk Talk.
Yeah.
For a while, we did another one called The Back Burner.
That's right.
With Jonathan Odell. You edited those.
Great guy.
What?
Yeah.
Do you listen to podcasts after all that headache?
Honestly, yeah.
Really?
I do. Because, I don't know, there's something about specifically how those podcasts work on their communication, about building coalition that I find so fascinating. So I guess I'm kind of turning it back on you with that, but it's so fascinating to hear great communicators build coalitions and the unifying stories of our lands and our ethic together. But I don't get tired of listening to it too much, because it's just so fascinating. I mean, that's one of the best parts of the land and hunting and being out with wildlife is that it's endlessly giving back to you.
Yeah. The amount of material that's out there. If I would have started podcasting at age 8, I'm still not going to live long enough to even scratch the surface of all of the stories I think are worthy of telling as it relates to hunting, conservation, public lands, just people's stories about people who've done amazing things that I find out about it. I'm like, why have I not known about this my whole life?
Man, that's one of the things. My wife is probably sick of it. I come downstairs. I just heard this podcast about how this policy is happening, and we got to go do this. And she's, of course, very interested in that. You've met her. She's very whip smart and very crafty, and loves the outdoors and loves conservation.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that gets me going. It's like why I'm a member of Army F and BHA and North American Pronghorn. It's like you want to be a part of that. You want whatever little skill I have in this arena, which is not very much compared to guys like
very
you.
much. It is very large skill.
Well, compared to guys like the biologists, the guys in the field like you and Marcus or Hal, who's like such a repository of all of this knowledge, or guys like Pozowich, which is just like, it's like I'm dust on a flea's back as far as that's concerned, as one of my friends used to say. It's like that to me, it's like whatever little service I can perform is valuable. And so I'm endlessly inspired by stuff like that.
Wow.
Even like, all those guys, all the BHA stuff, or talking to a biologist from the NAPF or from the Mule Deer Foundation. It was every time I think I know something, I don't, which is beautiful.
That just comes with age. The older you get, the more you realize how many gaps are in your knowledge set. So at age 61, I am so much dumber than I was at 41.
What would you do at 41 differently?
Oh, I'd do more listening and less talking. Or as Grandma would say, you need to do a little less broadcasting and a little more receiving. That's what she used to say.
God gave you 2 ears so you can hear twice as much as you speak.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think looking back on it, one of the benefits of trying to tell stories, trying to make them relevant to an audience I have my idea of why I think they're important and why they're relevant. But my job is I got to take that and figure out, all right, how do I make this so that the listener can relate to it or understands it or feels about it the way I hope they will.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of having to do that, you really understand how narrow my own perspectives have been in my whole life. And I'm sure if I live to be 70, I'll look back and say, man, when I was 61, I had some pretty narrow perspectives of the world. And so part of what I try to do in our podcast, on our YouTube channels, and all the stuff that I do is bring my life perspectives, knowing that it's just my life's perspectives. How hunting has been part of my culture, part of my identity, part of my life since I don't know at what age you start forming human memories, but we were eating things that came from hunting since
time immemorial.
Yeah. So that's been my life. And so how do I try to make that relevant? And the other part is I don't craft my talking points to just speak to the hunting world. I mean, and I don't say that as a disassociation with the hunting world. That's where I live, and that's who I see as my community. But I just feel there's so much about hunting, so much about conservation, so much about the American story, the good, the bad of how we got to where we are today, that if people hear that, maybe it'll get them to think a little more or see it in a different way. Or in my long-term goal is to get them to stand up and speak up for these things. That's really, I mean, you've seen our whiteboards, right? It says to inspire hunters to advocate for wild places, wild things, and the resources essential to hunting. So every message that we do in a podcast or whatever kind of gets crafted based on that idea, based on that hope that something about my life experiences and the way I say it will resonate with them. And I don't know if it works or not.
I was telling my wife about the episode when you go back to Minnesota with your brother, deer hunting, and you visit your father's grave, and how impactful that whole episode was. And I can't think of another person videos I've watched that would have the vulnerability and the stones to do that.
Really?
Well, it's just like, that's so relatable. Yeah. Here's the man, there's somewhat of a complex relationship, if I can be so bold to say.
Oh, yeah.
And also you have your connection with your brother. It's the land you came from. And of course we all know that hunting binds us to the land we're part of, just emotionally.
Yeah.
And I found it to be just such a beautiful episode,
Hmm.
and I really commend you for making it.
Well, that's good to hear, because the guys here for years were trying to talk me into doing that. I'm like, nobody really wants to hear the Randy Newberg story about growing up here. We're going to go back there. We aren't going to see any deer because deer
There are no
numbers
deer.
are in the crapper.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but you talk about all your buddies and their deer camps and all this and that. And
Mm-hmm.
so along the way, everyone's heard a little bit about this. Let's piece it all together. All right. Okay. So,
And how has the response been to that?
oh, it's been fantastic. It blew me away. The number of people who left the comment or emailed us and said, those are the kind of stories that are meaningful. I'm like, why did I not see that as a worthwhile story? Why did all the people around me have to convince me that it was a worthwhile story? Because I had my blinders on based on, I don't think you see your own life the way the rest of the world
course.
sees your life.
Well, that's that T.S. Eliot quote Hal's talking about. You will never cease from wandering, and when we return, we will see ourselves for the first time. It's like you gather all that knowledge, and you finally come back when you're an older, and you're gaining with knowledge. Like I can see where I was when I was in my 20s, and I would do a lot more listening than I did then.
Oh.
And so it's the same now. It's like I would do a lot more questioning and absorbing. It's more interesting than what I have to say about anything, pretty much. So it's like, let's just see what someone else has to say and what they're talking about and what's going on in their life. And I think that's why people resonate with it too, because they're seeing it's a complex relationship. There's, in terms of like the wildlife, the deer numbers are down. It's a family that does it together. There's all these friends that are part of it. It's the whole camp. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
And there's such a deep relationship to that. You know, we see ourselves in that.
Yeah. Well, that one, I might go back and do a second version of that one.
Cool.
And I've scripted it out, and it'd be about grouse hunting.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people...
You like grouse hunting, do you?
Yeah, I do a little bit. And so here's a funny story about my connection to grouse hunting. And I don't really know how to make this relatable, but maybe just telling it is relatable. So starting at the end of the story and working back, my wife and I are over here in the crazy mountains in Montana, and it's a good rough grouse hatch that year. Since then, it's been in the crapper. But we're sitting on the tailgate, and we've taken a couple grouse, and goes back to the kid. I love the smell of rough grouse. They smell like the fall. They smell like the decaying leaves, the dust. So I'm sitting there on the tailgate, and I'm like, and I take this big inhale up against the breast of this rough grouse, and my wife is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Here, smell this. It's the woods. It's the land."
Yeah.
She's like, "I'll pass." And so we're sitting there, and she'd made an unbelievable shot on this grouse that flushed. It flushed behind a tree, and as it came out, boom!
Wow.
She thought she missed. I'm just like, "How did you make that shot?" She's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "You got him." Anyhow, that rough grouse is mounted at our house. It's one of the few things. So anyhow, we're sitting there talking about it, and I rhetorically ask, I still don't understand why I'm so attached to rough grouse, why it's so meaningful to me, why when I am here chasing rough grouse, I'm 11 years old again, or I'm this teenager back chasing grouse. It's the whole world goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is just calm and sane, and it's me in the woods and the grouse. And she looks at me and she's like, "You big idiot. It's obvious why you're so attached to rough grouse." I'm like, "Oh, really? Let me lay down on your couch, Miss Psychoanalyst,
Sure.
and you can tell me." And
Marriage advice 101.
she's like, "Okay." And so she says, "When you were a kid, you had this vision of the world. Everything, you were going to have this Ozzie and Harriet, mom, dad relationship. And it blew up when you were 10 years old when your parents got divorced. Your whole world just melted away. And you're the oldest, and you're looking at your little siblings, and the divorce was really ugly. And there were just a lot of things there." I'm like, "Yeah, so what?" She's like, "Well, at the time, we'd probably been married 15 years. She's like, "For 15 years, I've been hearing these stories about grouse hunting, and every one of them come back to the same place. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, look, you idiot, your world was falling apart. And the place that you went to find some sanity was out in the woods to chase grouse.
100%.
I felt so stupid. I mean, it's like someone just showed me that I had a nose on my face.
I was just talking. We drove to Highlight Canyon before we got here just to see it.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my wife, and I said, I don't know what about this place has its hooks in me, because I'm a composer, and I need to be in this New York City for a little bit more in order to like build a community to do what I want to do with my own personal music. I was like, but there's something about that here that's just so powerful. And I'm sure I closed the gate on the flight here, so no other New Yorkers are coming. So don't worry, folks. But when you say that, it makes me realize, like, after I finished jazz, like the music school that was super intense, it was kind of my own traumatic experience. And I went found the woods. And one of the things I used to say to people is like, the woods, it either is or it isn't. There's no abstraction you can do with it. You can't say, you don't deserve this, you do deserve this, or this person's going to be okay. It's like, you know how to do it or you don't.
Yeah.
And I love the meritocracy. And also, sometimes it's not a meritocracy. Sometimes you just walk in, like the buck I killed.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that story. But sometimes it's not that, and it's just a blessing.
Yeah.
But I think there is a part of that when you're searching for yourself or that place, and you're looking for comfort in a world that's kind of reconstructing itself after a moment of pain, where you're really finding, you really need that solace of what I put in, I get out. What, I mean, even if I'm not killing something, the boot leather I just burned created something in my heart.
Yeah.
Or a bond with the landscape. Now I'm creating my own world again. So that makes total sense. When you just said that, I just realized I'm looking at all the mountains. I'm looking at the Madison, Gallatin, the Bridgers.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's why. Because when I go into the mountains in the Catskills, even though they're much smaller, everything disappears.
Yeah.
I'm in the flow state. You're focused on reading the wind. You're having fun. You just disappear into the natural state of being.
Yeah. So I have no idea why I had to be 40 years old sitting on the tailgate talking to my psychoanalysis wife.
Because
before
we need that.
Back to my statement of you don't see your own life the way the rest. I mean, and so.
Well, that's true.
She's encouraged me. She said, you should go back and tell this grouse story, because that's what connected me to public lands.
Yeah.
So this is 1974. There weren't a lot of divorced families in 1974. So the kids are kids, right? They don't realize they're cruel. And so there's a stigma, you get teased because your parents are divorced. And then my dad moves away. I had to go and try to find work in the iron mines because there's no work around where we were at that time. So I got to figure this out. I want to hunt, and that's what I want to do with my life. And I take hunter ed when I'm 12, and you can hunt small game in Minnesota at that time from 12 to 14, but you can't hunt big game by yourself. So it's really the first year or two, I'm relegated to just hunting small game. Well, we lived in this crappy rundown trailer house on a piece of land that my dad's brother had bought at a bank foreclosure. I remember being 10 years old watching the bank come and sell all of my dad's stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. All of his logging equipment, everything else. Everything got foreclosed on. And that forms some things in your mind also.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, and that's a whole different story. But
no, for sure. That'll be
anyhow, so we walked down, or I'd walk down to the trailer house and grab my 410. And from there, I walked down the hill. The river was about a quarter mile away. Walked down. Pat and Larry Cook would let me walk through their place. And then Albans would let me walk through their place. And there was a trolley car that went across the Big Fork River. And I can speak from experience how bad it hurts to run your fingers over with the wheels on the trolley cars, your hand lining above yourself. So how many people are going to let their 12-year-old go across this big river in a trolley car with a shotgun and say, be home at dark? And so I do that. Anyhow, I get across. So to me, when I got across Pine Island State Forest, it could have just as well been the gates of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. It was, to me, this is like, I have found the wildness. This is what Daniel Boone saw when he crossed the Cumberland Gap. That's what was in my head.
For sure.
And so I would go there and I'd hunt grouse after school, on weekends. That's what I did. And so my wife was like, you ought to talk to the whoever owns those properties now and see if they'd let you go do that, because the trolley car is still there. And you should walk across and go and just hunt grouse like you used to and just tell that story.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's what I'll do. But the way that connected me to public lands was, as I got a little older, I realized that if I wouldn't have had those public lands 3/4 of a mile from our trailer house, I wouldn't have got to hunt. If I would have lived in a place where you had to pay to hunt, where you had to drive a long distance to hunt, or you had to bang on a bunch of doors, I wouldn't have got to hunt. And if I wouldn't have got to hunt, I would bet you any money I would have been in the juvenile detention system. I mean, at that point in my life, with all that was changing,
all the chaos,
trouble was just around the next corner.
For sure.
But when I was out in the woods, there was no trouble to be found. It was me and the grouse or the rabbits or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And, I'd come home every once in a while with a couple grouse and make a big presentation. I'd kind of like walk in the door. And
your mom would be pumped.
Oh, yeah. She'd make a big fuss of it for the reality that she's working as a waitress in a little country diner, and money was, it was not.
Sure.
And, my dad didn't pay child support, so she was trying to raise 3 kids, and it was tough. So when I came in the door with 2 grouse, oh my gosh, she's like, get those things cleaned up. No more potato salad sandwiches. And we would eat rough grouse, and we were just like living as king. So my wife has heard those stories so many times. She's like, you knothead. Go tell the story.
It also speaks, even though living as kings made me think of something like maybe Hal, if he was president, would say well, this used to be the king's estate. And now it's our estate.
Right,
it's the public estate. And you actually get to enjoy it as a piece of the public. That's the appeal to the American greatness, right? That's so fantastic that even in a place where there's a chaotic moment as a child, that you can still go out and touch that greatness.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating.
So as I get older, and I realized that connection, that if it wasn't for those public lands, one, I wouldn't have got to be a hunter, and 2, I'd probably be dead by now. I probably would have got caught up in some drinking and carrying on life. Sure. That's what, to this day, is why these platforms are about making sure there are wild places and wild things for, as Roosevelt would say, those yet unborn, to go and do it.
Yeah.
Because I got to do it in my amazing hunting life because people before me, way before me, made decisions that maybe were a little painful, maybe were a little uncomfortable, but they made them, and that's what I got to do.
Well, conservation. A wise man said conservation is never convenient, right?
Joe was at my presentation at the fundraiser this weekend, so it's always difficult, it's always uncomfortable, and it's always inconvenient.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Well, I had even after I had my first exposure to hunting, and I hunted a neighbor's property for a while, it ended up being that I just didn't have access to that land.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to hunt, I had to find public land. And luckily, the state of New York has among the positives in its roster in comparison to Bozeman, which is what I'm doing. Just convincing my wife. Both have a lot of public land. New York has public land too, and that's where I ended up putting in my effort. And it happens to be that it's mountain hunting that I have to do up there. But I love doing that. I don't really. It's not my thing to sit in a tree stand on a field. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not my thing. Yeah. I have done it. I would do it for fun with friends. It's a blast. But it's being in the mountains, especially the low deer densities of the cats. I had the same feeling. A friend of mine told me for fall black bear up there. He said, if you go to this ridge, there's beech nuts all up there, and the bears are always there. Only locals know about this spot. I was like, cool, I'm a local, let's go. So I walked up there, and it's a real steep, for the cats, it's a real steep climb because it's all scree and stuff, but it's like, 800 feet and like a 6.6 miles or something. It's pretty aggressive. And you get up there and it's just beach flats all over the place. And you just see gigantic piles of bear scat all over. And I walked in with a bow and bow only season, and I felt the bear shake the ground when it ran away from me because I had picked the wrong road and it winded me. But if I didn't have those public lands, then when I lost access to hunting my neighbor's property, I wouldn't be hunting.
Yeah.
It'd be impossible.
Right.
But because I did have those mountains, I had the challenge and the wonderful ability to keep exploring it. And it changed my life forever. Because then it also makes you think of, well, what am I doing? It's the Leupold quote that you often use, are we willing to have an ever expanding quality of life, like at the expense of all things wild and free?
Right.
And once you experience the things wild and free, you start closing a couple loops in your brain about what you use in the planet and like what kind of community you're building and how you want to, let's say some of the more people in New York City who maybe not know this stuff, but could be interested. Mm-hmm. Well, let me do a little soft proselytizing over here and just say, would you like to go for a hike way back in the woods? Maybe we'll bushwhack just for half a mile. See what you think. Or would you like to try a little venison or a little bear chorizo or any of that stuff?
Yeah. Well, a few years ago, you sent me some pictures with a long story of this whopper buck that you shot. Somewhere in New York. You don't need to rat out the location.
Don't worry, I can't.
But okay.
My friend would kill me.
Okay.
And I would.
But it was a tremendous buck. Whitetail, obviously.
Yeah.
But the length of the story that I got out of that was this was probably one of those pinnacle events. Could I say that in your hunting?
Oh, for sure. It's definitely the biggest buck I've shot.
Because of all that, but you talked about all that you put into it, all the scouting, all
my gosh,
all the everything, and then to get the thing out. As I was hearing that, it almost sounded like hunting mule deer in Colorado.
Well, there are a little bit aggressive points like that. Like, that story is fascinating. My friend and I had shot a black bear there too, and so I have a friend. Her name's Olivia, and she does a lot of scouting in that area because she lives near it. And one fall bear, we shot a bear opening day. There was like 400 pounds. It's like a mile and a half back.
Is this where is New York like PA where you got to take the bear out whole?
No. We quartered it, but it was like 75 degrees, 80 degrees that day.
Man.
And it's, you're walking up this finger that's just total rocky slope with like leaves all over. It was a pain in the butt to get it out. Luckily, her husband came and he's a hunter, and so we were all just like shuttling meat constantly in the hide. But I mean, I had the hide in my pack, and it was like 100 pounds.
Oh, I bet.
It was just it was grueling.
Yeah.
And so but we knew that it's this oak flat, which is and when you're in the mountains, as you know, it's like feed changes every year.
Yeah.
So you really got to have boots on the ground to figure out where are they going to be eating now, and why would they be there? And if you have a drought year or a heavy rain year, everything's going to change.
Yeah.
So she had done some scouting, and my friend had killed her own archery buck, and I had struck out. I was working a lot. My wife was working as an editor in film, and the industry had collapsed, so she had been out of work for a couple of years. And it was my work was really, really busy, so I didn't have time to do much. I decided to rent a little house for a week, the first opening week of rifle season, and in Woodstock, New York, or in Bearsville, it's right next to it. And I went up there, and the first opening day, it's like wake up at 3:30 and hike in, so you're there way before light, and nothing. Second day, you do the same thing. You sit there all day, nothing. And my friend is ever peppy and positive, but because of the amount of extracurricular problems or pressures, I was not in the most pleasant of moods. And I remember the morning of this buck, it's another 3:30 a.m. morning, and we get up there, and she's like, "Oh, you never know what'll happen. You never know. And I was just like, "Yeah, we never know. Let's just see what happens." So she's like, I'm going to sit here at this point where it's covered in oak, and you can see down a couple flats. It's kind of a classic big wood setup. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to sit against the tree. my rifle and wait. And she's going to walk all the way down to this other section and see what happens. So I'm sitting there, light comes up, and we're texting each other. She's like, she's like, I shot my buck. Like, you never know. You're blah, blah, blah. And I was writing back something like, dude, like, can it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to hear about it right now. But I didn't, because I don't want to ruin her time or anything like that.
Yeah.
Everybody gets frustrated. And suddenly I'm kind of frustrated. It's like 8:30 in the morning. I've moved my pack and I see a flash of white behind the tree, about 50 yards up on a bench above me. And I have my 308 there. I spin around and the tree, I'm all twisted like a pretzel. And here, this buck with a 23.5-inch spread.
23 and a half
2 feet almost.
whitetail.
Yeah, 22 foot spread whitetail, essentially. Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah.
He walks into the only lane where his vitals are apparent. And he just stares and goes straight at me. And his antlers were so wide. I mean, ignorantly, everybody's going to laugh at this. I was like, is this a moose? Like, what are we talking about here? I've never seen an animal I've never seen a whitetail that large on the hoof.
Yeah.
I'd seen, I know hunters in the cats that'll kill bigger deer consistently.
Yeah.
They tend to have access to public through private land that I don't have access to. And yeah, when I was spun around like a pretzel, I just put up the rifle, and I had never shot twisted like this before, but I just breathed, made sure everything felt correct with the cheek weld, and set it off. And wouldn't you know it shot it right through both lungs, and it went down to the logging road I was on, and went through the grapevines. And I saw the grapevine shake, and I just thought, oh no, like, I don't know where I shot this thing. I'm pretty sure it's a good shot. I know I shot it. Let's see. So I walked to where I shot it. I find blood. Feeling pretty good about it. I tell my friend, you got to get over here. You got to get over here. Mm-hmm. She gets over there. We start tracking it. And I thought it was going to be way down the mountain, right behind private. And that was going to be a pain. But it wasn't. It was 100 yards at most. And I walked up to it. And it's one of those things when sometimes you're walking in the woods and you're just tracking blood, and you're looking way far ahead, and it's dead over 2 yards on the side, and you just walk past it. And when we did, we just looked back and, whoa, holy. And she just went, holy shit. I can't, what? This thing, what? Like, she's like, this is like a Catskill giant. I can't believe this is even here. I was like, I'd never seen a deer this large on the hoof in the cats.
Yeah.
And I mean, that totally turned around my self-pity, real fast, and taught you the lesson of, like, you just never know.
Right.
And you got to be there for it. So yeah, then it's like, you have this massive deer. You're like a mile and a half back, and I'm on the other end of the finger. So I got to climb up the finger, then back down the finger, then up the finger and back down the finger. And my friend's all 5'3", 110 pounds. So I'll tell you who's doing most of the lifting, and it's me. So it was doing the gutless method on it. Yeah. And eventually I packed the head and both behind quarters in my backpack. And I had the front shoulders in my hands.
Whoa.
And she carried the two back straps and, like, the heart. Yeah. And I hoofed it out. And I think I was 39 or 40 at the time. I remember telling my wife, I was like, this is the last time I can do this without working out. This is the last time sheer willpower gets me past this without any injury. Yeah. I know this. If I do this again, there's going to be problems. Yeah. Wow. But so then the big pack out was nuts after that. That was crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
It was such a fascinating story. And I shot another one near there a couple years prior that we had scouted and seen on camera, and we had it come in to our calling and work its way through these pine tree saplings all the way to us, and it ended up freaking out right before it walked out into the open from the pine tree, the little pine trees. I went back a couple days later, and she was supposed to meet me at the truck. She woke up late. She didn't wake up in time. Oh. I call her on the way. I'm like, where are you? And she's like, oh my God, you got to go. You got to do it on your own. I'm so sorry. So I get up in the tree. She had borrowed a rope of mine that you would carry your bow up into the tree. I'm saddle hunting here. Yeah. And you would carry your bow and your pack. Well, she took mine. And so now I have one. Well, it has to be my bow. It has to be my bow. It's not going to be my pack. Right. So I'm cursing. I'm like, this is a little inconvenient, and I'm frustrated. And I sit down in this saddle, and I'm waiting for sun to come up. It comes up, and this buck walks right into my lane. It urinates. It makes its scent on its tarsals, and it comes right into the lane and bow, like, 22 yards, right?
Yeah.
Double long dead.
Wow.
That was another one of those incredible moments where adversity just doesn't matter. Like,
Right.
you just stay the course.
Yeah.
And I would say that's something that maturity teaches you for sure.
Yeah.
That you can get all up in self-pity and no, that's not the right thing, but you never know.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
calm down.
being present a lot of times is where success happens. Right?
Yeah, that probably relates back to your grouse story too. You could actually be present to what was in front of you and not pulled off into the chaos.
Yeah. No, and that's one of the other things about hunting that fascinates me is the life skills. Like you're talking about all those things of both those hunts. You had every reason to just say, you know what, I should just go home, or I should sleep in, or I should go watch a football game, or whatever. But you didn't. And I think that's one thing that sets hunters apart is they'll come 4 times, oh, nothing, but they'll come the 5th day, and they'll come the 6th day, and they know sooner or later something's going to happen. And so this level of persistence and
optimism.
And being unfazed by, if you want to call it failure of that day, doesn't cause them to give up. And so there's all these things that I look at as observations people make of me and my behaviors or my approach to life or my demeanors. Every one of them pretty much come from a lifetime of hunting.
That's interesting. I would point to the fact that that's been, your interest in particular has been an influence for me. And also I have a friend in LA who's like a former Marine, and he had done many tours. He's my age, and he's a film director. And we both ended up in the same kind of position, kind of where Hal's at too, which is optimism's your only choice.
Yeah.
And I learned that from you. I learned it from my friend Daniel. I learned it from Hal. And it's often challenging to find like a male role model that has that. Because cynicism can sometimes make it seem like you have intelligence when it's really just you have no alternative. You're not trying to build anything. You're just being cynical, which you have a lot of reasons to be cynical. Plenty fine.
Yeah.
But hunting, it's like if you were going to be cynical about showing up at 3 a.m. and doing a 2-mile hike, you better just stay home.
Yeah.
You got to be optimistic, man.
Yeah. Set the alarm for 9 o'clock and go down to the coffee shop.
Why not? Talk about how you didn't see anything.
Yeah, and be cynical there.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think that breeds that because you end up having to be optimistic about it. It's one of the most beautiful parts of hunting is that whatever the perceived failure is, there's still a takeaway that's for you. And that's what the land, I mean, that goes back to the whole land ethic. And that when I came out of the state forest in New York, the first time I was just like, I'm so thankful this is here.
Yeah.
This has really changed my perspective on me and how I relate to the land.
Yeah. No, it's the same for me. At this point in my life, this sounds greedy, and I don't mean it this way, but I've come to the realization that I'm not going to get to see all the things I want to see, all the places I want to hike and walk. It's like, dang it, I'm not going to live that long. But it is not important that I get to do it, but it's important that somebody someday who has that dream that I want to go hunt that, or I want to go hike that, or I want to go fish there, I want to go. Doesn't matter if I get to check it off my list or get to fulfill myself with that experience. What really matters is that it's going to be there for the next person.
Yeah, and I think that's also a unique part of the hunting experience is that because it creates the relationship with the land and the species, it ends up making you feel like we need to continue the species. So it's here.
Yeah.
And because I would selfishly like to keep hunting it.
Yeah.
But unselfishly, I'd like other people to experience this too, because it's something deep inside of us. And regardless if I ever hunt, red deer in Patagonia, or if I hunt Colorado, or if I even hunt in Missouri with my family ever, well, someone's going to get to enjoy those lands. Like they've reintroduced elk in Missouri. Someone gets to enjoy that.
Right.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I don't have to go do all of that, but I'll certainly support RMEF and those efforts and all of that that I get to do.
And that's the other thing I've learned, and I think a lot of people take from hunting and conservation is, what's the saying that the shade you enjoy today came from a tree planted by somebody who knew it was not going to benefit them.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I've realized how many people have made sacrifices or stuck their neck out or did something important that made it possible for me and my generation to have this amazing hunting life.
Man, the first opening part of Beyond Fair Chase,
Yeah.
where Posowitz talks about father and his two sons going by.
Yeah.
I remember that being shared. I remember my wife listening to Posowitz on a podcast, and she teared up because she could feel the intergenerational care.
Yeah.
To push that down. And every time I read that story, I feel the same way about it. Like, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And I never would have been a part of this if I didn't know hunting. I'd just be like, well, hunters, I have no clue what they are. Which is kind of like, I'll tell my friend too, it's like, we are the outliers, certainly in New York City, to your point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the arts, she's in the arts. Like, we are people who can translate so that a broader coalition can be built so that we can protect our public land and our hunting heritage in a way that can, even if they don't want to participate in it. Like, I've had friends that are like, well, I'm vegan. I'm like, well, I appreciate that you want to close the loop and be sustainable, but if you really wanted to do that, another way, if you're ever interested, is to hunt.
Yeah.
And I would be happy to take you. Or if you want to watch a deer get butchered, I'm happy to, you can come along.
Yeah.
Any way you can do to build that coalition so that even if it's not adding people to put pressure on the animals, but you're adding people that care about the land that it exists on and the fact that they exist, period.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I was telling you how last week I got an email from someone from Boston. I'm like, is this a crank? What's the deal here? But I'd heard of the syndicated radio show On Point.
Yeah.
And so she gets a hold of me and says, hey, we're talking about the Forest Service restructure. It's our Boston NPR station, but we're syndicated across 350 NPR stations. And I've been researching you since last summer when you popped up on my radar as this public lands guy. And I'm a vegan, you're a hunter, but I love everything you do about public lands. So she interviewed me for an hour and a half last week. And just the other day, I started getting emails and texts from people I know on the East Coast like, hey, I just heard you on Point.
Oh, I can't wait to listen to it.
And
cool.
but my point of all that is that it shows to sync with what you've said. They don't need to hunt. And if they don't hunt, that's fine. But as we were ending the interview, he said, I'm fascinated by all that you've told me about how hunting has made you this advocate for public land.
Mm-hmm.
Because where I live and where I grew up and my background, that doesn't connect.
Oh, sure. Of course.
He said, I hope that you'll leave open an opportunity for me to investigate that further because that's a story.
Yeah.
And so I just think that if hunters approach this without the belief that everybody's your enemy,
100%.
that everybody's against you.
Yeah. I know what that feels like.
Yeah. Give the benefit of good intent.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
And where that might make a difference.
I've walked through the world that way. And I would walk down various trails in the New York mountains with my camo and my rifle on. And as long as my friend was in front of me, 5'3", non-intimidating girl, everybody was pretty chill because it was her. But if I was alone, I was always telling myself a story. Oh, they would harass me. That's not true. So I started leaving room for the fact that maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I found that I had never had any negative interaction. Mm-hmm. I have yet to have one, in fact. And when hunters would run into me in the woods, they've been respectful. Mm-hmm. So we're humans. We're biased towards negativity for our own preservation, whatever. But I do think that it's important to kind of lead with a little bit of generosity towards that other people are capable of seeing it. I mean, since I started when I was in my early 30s hunting, I certainly wasn't anti-hunting beforehand. I came from a family with loves firearm use, and I certainly go home and enjoy shooting a lot, and I shoot in New York. But when it comes to leaving those spaces open, people will surprise you. Yeah. And sometimes that's you want to be surprised. Mm-hmm. And it's such a great surprise. I talked to my wife after you had mentioned being on Point, and I thought, I wonder if that radio host or that journalist would ever want to come out here and hunt with you.
Yeah.
Or be along for a hunt.
Yeah.
Because that would be a fascinating tale of, they probably might not want to see animal death.
Right.
But at the same time, maybe they would just want to take a look
Mhm.
and maybe they'd want to see an animal like turn the process of it, or just to, like, see it, some kind of evidence of it,
Mhm.
and that it's not, that it's different than they imagine.
Yeah. And I have every reason to believe, and it came across completely sincere, that there's a curiosity there of, this is interesting.
Oh yeah.
This is something I did not expect or didn't understand. And so,
I found a lot of people on the East Coast have, or like in the city and urban environments, have a deep appetite to not be abstracted from the land.
Mhm.
Like if you, like when like I was telling Marcus earlier, like if when you're in the forest in the Catskills and they're like, oh, it's so beautiful and green. I'm like, well, that's invasive, that's invasive, that's invasive, that's invasive. So everything you're looking at, in fact, is horrific for this area,
Yeah.
and it needs to be burned and logged and, and like responsibly. And they're like, I couldn't. It shocks them.
Yeah.
Because they were just enjoying the fact that they were outside, which is a beautiful thing on its own.
Right.
But I try and say that to share that with them, because I just want to make them more curious.
Yeah.
Because I think I think people are curious
Mhm.
generally to
Right.
come out and advocate, or just learn more.
Yeah.
So that they do know a hunter, and they can say, oh, I know this guy. This is really cool. And I've known tons of people that want to get involved, and they go out and they harvest something, or they don't, and then they're addicted and they just want to keep doing it
Right.
over and over again.
Yeah. And I don't care if they become berry pickers
Not at all.
or if they just, this is no longer an abstraction to them. It's a tangible thing. And when the call is made that, hey, we got to let people know that this is valuable to us.
Yeah,
they'll rally, and they'll rally their friends. And
that's one of those things I've been trying to think about, how like my little world too can do that. Like, how do we build coalitions so that, like, when Mike Lee tries to sell off 3.5 million acres of public land,
Yeah.
the alarm goes off, and people on all their various social media platforms, the hikers, the bikers, the berry pickers, the bird watchers, the wolf watchers that are in the park, all of them go, wait a second,
Right.
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
They don't give you the snarky, well, you voted for this, so whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, that's useless to us. Like,
Right.
people vote, like, you know what? It's just like, you vote for one time. Like, let's show up regularly. Voting one time is only so good.
Yeah.
You got to show up.
Yeah.
And so, but building those broad coalitions I think is phenomenal. And it's party agnostic, and it's about wildlife and our public trust, which, as you'd say, is the largest undistributed chunk of wealth on the planet.
Yeah. It is.
And it's yours.
Yeah, it's all of ours. And when
It's
you
awesome.
have something that's worth as much as the public lands of America, there's going to be people who want to get it for their very own.
Yeah. And what is that thing? If you want, like Warren Buffett said, if you want to get Americans, appeal to their greatness.
Yeah.
It's like, so I always see it as like the elk that Theodore Roosevelt has, the head back there.
In my office.
In your office. The one in your office. Yeah. It's like, well, he came out here and hunted, and my wife's from Long Island, and we've been to the TR Sagamore Hill, and I've been to Theodore Roosevelt's grave.
See, I've never been there.
Well, you got to come out.
Yeah.
And he's buried right there,
Yeah.
right next to it, down the road a bit. And you go there and you realize what an incredible vision guys like him, John Burroughs, Gifford Pinchot,
Yeah.
all those like visionaries of conservation had, and how that doesn't, it's like it comes true. What you're doing is coming true here. Like, their vision came true, and we're living
Right.
as Howard would say, in God's pocket, or like we're living off the interest of that principle.
Right.
But we can create more principle,
Yeah.
folks. You know what I mean? That's like the general idea of like what you're doing. And I find that so provocative, because it's not like a call of just defend. It's actually one of building an offense. Like, how do we create more?
Yeah.
How do we live up to this? We could. Just, they did it.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Right.
Let's keep going.
Yeah. And that
We're great. We're
in the business world, those of us who've been through those curriculum, it really comes down to this mindset that got, I think, identified or got tagged as a mindset in the 80s and 90s as abundance thinking.
mm-hmm.
But what you're talking about, what Roosevelt and Pinchot and all those people did, they had an abundance mindset.
100%.
It was optimism. It was operating not from fear,
Mm-hmm.
but from opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And they did this, and they did this. And that's been something, the abundance thinking mindset has been in the hunting and conservation community going back to that time for sure.
Yeah.
And I always worry that in today's world of social media, social media is the perfect place for the scarcity mindset,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
which is pessimism, which is distrust. Everyone's my enemy. I got to fight for my little scrap and hell with the rest of them. So I'm on this mental kick right now. You hear it in all the podcast stuff I do when you're editing it, Joe, that I am worried that as America wants to adopt more of a scarcity mindset, I'm going to kick and scream to keep the hunting community from becoming scarcity thinkers. I want us to continue as abundance thinkers. And
yeah, I have a corollary with that, which for me, I mean, having played a lot of instruments and worked a lot in creative fields, it turns into that the process is, now we want the result. We want the result of more land, more animals on the land, people to protect hunting. But the way to do that is to focus on the process,
right?
Not get obsessed about if it was a win or a loss necessarily. Celebrate the wins, learn from the losses, but stay focused in the process and be optimistic about it and build in the process. Not be like, I have to build this to a result. It must be built to a result. It must be built to a result. Well, sometimes it's just, we're going to build to fundraise for the NAPF. We're just going to build to get a little bit more money so we can put this kind of film out, or we can put a guzzler in the desert for like whatever, like elk or whatever animals we're going to be in Arizona, which I know there's a lot of like volunteer advocates. Well, volunteers are in the process. They're making little results, but the process of the big result, you think micro and macro.
Yeah.
And I think that the social media takes you straight to result.
Yeah.
And if you go straight to result, you end up thinking of it from the perspective of, oh, I don't have that result right now. Right. I'm not that thing. This isn't happening for me. I didn't kill that big deer. It's like, okay, well, focus on your process. Focus on showing up. Focus on learning the land. Love that part. Eventually, the result comes.
Right.
Just observe it and enjoy it and build it that way. Because then it's like, I don't have to worry about if I'm promoting it and how successful the promotion was. I'm just promoting exactly what I want to have happen here.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Focus in the process, keep building. It's the same as hunting, literally. I'm going to keep showing up because I believe in the process.
Yeah.
That's similar to voting, et cetera.
Yeah. and governance and civics and everything.
Yeah. It's also true of like your savings and everything else in life. It's prismatic. You see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, as people listen to this podcast, and we've had a lot of requests from people that say, where did you get that music for the intro of your podcast? How can where is that? How can I get that? And every bit of that, This Land Is Your Land story goes back to Joe.
Yes.
And we were doing a film about an Arizona elk hunt.
No, it was the Uncommon Ground.
Uncommon Ground.
Right.
And it was about, I hope those of you who are watching this podcast on YouTube, we can put a link in the description. Those of you driving down the road or at work or wherever you're listening to the audio version, hopefully you'll go out to YouTube and you'll look that up. It's called Uncommon Ground.
It's an awesome film.
And it's about an elk hunt and how we got these public lands that we're doing this elk hunt on. It's about Roosevelt's statement of
only he who has
hunted the lonely lands
was the keen delight
can understand the keen delight. And
I was thinking of that the other day.
Yeah. And so anyhow, the film was almost done, and I called Joe and I'm like, I just need some music, but I don't know anything about music. And I had no idea I had no understanding of your music background. And you're like, well, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. And I'm like, sure. So I remember hanging up the phone and telling Marcus, yeah, the guy who edits our podcast, he says he can do this and this and this and this. And Marcus looks at me, really?
He's probably full of shit.
Yeah, why isn't he in Nashville? Why,
I have a lot of friends in Nashville.
Yeah, why isn't he the next Eric Church or something?
Sure.
So, anyhow.
Yeah.
That's how
I did the whole score.
Music got to be here.
Right. Yeah, I did this whole score for that film.
Yeah.
I remember picking one of the cues in his parlance, pieces of music for that. After the elk, spoiler alert, is shot, and you guys are breaking it down, and you do a time lapse.
Yeah.
I remember deciding to play the banjo, the mandolin, and the guitar on that really slowly because I wanted people to feel like a sacred moment, but also like not just the sacredness of like the animal sacrifice or like the death, but the friendship that's involved
Yeah.
in
There's
that.
4 of us there
Yeah.
carving on that. Yeah.
And the night sky coming over. I wanted to connect that, and then it goes into like a string quartet, right, as sun rises.
Yeah.
It's like I just want you to see, because I know what it's like to kill an animal, and to feel the beauty of that with people.
Yeah.
And I want you to feel that. And I remember you calling and saying, "Hey, Woody Guthrie never did this. He never copyrighted 'This Land Is Your Land.' What do you think if we did 'This Land Is Your Land'?" I was like, "That's a killer idea. Let's do it." So I got the singer and together, and I played all the instruments on the track and recorded it, and then brought her in and had her sing on it.
Yeah.
It was really fun to play.
Yeah. So when you do that, like there's multiple different instruments there.
Oh, sure.
You play each of them separately
Mm-hmm.
and then you overlay them.
Mhm.
Is that?
Yeah. All the music on that score is me.
Yeah.
Every-
You told me that. I'm like, wait a second. You mean to tell me you know how to play that many instruments?
Yeah. I mean, I know enough that I can pick an instrument up and play it pretty professionally within a half hour, an hour.
I was blown away. And then you get the audio of her voice,
Oh man.
and then you lay that over.
I was at her session, yeah, and then I would direct the session. Can you try it like this? Try it like that, and then I took it back home, and of course I have my recording session of all of my instruments laid in, and I put her voice in, and then I cut it in, and I just figure out the arrangement that I'd like it to be, and sometimes it was just like, hey, let's add a guitar solo here, or let's have you stop here, and then it was. I don't know. It's so funny to me. It's just like, isn't that normal? Doesn't everybody know how to do that?
I was when that showed up, I was so excited because I got it in the morning and I'm off in the first one there and I'm watching it, and I'm so excited for the crew to show up. I'm like, wait till you guys hear this, and
It was fun.
yeah,
I think I remember you sending me that message like, you were like, I'm two-stepping around the office.
yeah,
And I was like, that's so cool. There's not a higher compliment than someone's been moved to move their body
yeah.
and enjoy the music. Like they're either tapping their toes, they're shaking their hips. Something inside them has been vibrated in that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you've asked me many times since then, what are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with this? So we have our 250th celebration of the Declaration of Independence coming up in a month or so. And so I've always had that thought in my head of Joe asking me, what are you going to do with this piece? What are you going to do with this someday? So here's what we're thinking of doing. We, as everybody wants to talk about America and what it means to them, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes out about this 250th celebration, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always say, what a country, because I can't believe I was blessed to be born here.
We are.
But one of those big parts of that is the public lands and all it provides to us. And I did a TED Talk in 2018 called The Public Land Experiment. Anyone who wants to Google it, it'll show up on YouTube. And it talks about how we acquired through treaties, through wars, through purchase, everything else. At one time, we had almost 2 billion acres of public land. Now we're at 600 and some million acres. And so this song to me is about, well, Guthrie had his own reason for writing the song, because it was like more of I thought this country was for all of us. It was kind of the way he was.
It was a tough time.
Yeah, it was a message he's trying to say, and it looks like it's just for some of us.
If you ain't got the do re mi.
Yeah.
That's that famous song. I sang that song when it came in the Roseman. I was like, if you ain't got the do re mi.
Yeah. And so Guthrie comes up with This Land Is Your Land, and it for me anyhow, it is such a profound way of talking about the public lands of America.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys are putting together a huge amount of space on a Google Drive where we're gonna do a bunch of social media posts. They're gonna go and upload a 5-second clip, everybody can, of something on public lands that's meaningful to them.
That's beautiful.
This isn't going to be kill shots. Like
you
see some of these crazy YouTube videos, just a compilation of kill shots. There's not going to be a kill shot in it. It's going to be about Americans on their public lands feeling that this is something worthwhile.
Yeah.
This is something we should celebrate at our 250th birthday party.
Absolutely.
And so that's what that's going to get used for, Joe.
That's awesome.
And so the guys are going to take little clips of a lot of people and stitch it together over that track. And we'll let it go. We'll see if anyone likes it. Maybe they'll be like, well.
No, they're going to love it.
Yeah.
I can't, it made me think immediately of my Idaho elk hunt last year and just being on the St. Joe River.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you what unit I was in, but yeah, that whole river corridor when you drive it, I mean, how can you not but feel grateful?
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Or like even, I mean, I don't know, anywhere, man. Like, you're right. What a country. We're absolutely blessed to be in a freedom-filled, socially mobile, public land, animal. I mean, we're incredibly blessed.
Yeah. No, I just feel that way all the time. I talked about my connection to grouse and some of these stories growing up. The reality is that these public lands were as close to a balancing of the scales as could be found in my world. It was a place where it may not be as good a hunting as the private estate, or I'm not traveling to some exotic location, but
Sure.
You know what? It's here, and it's my backyard, and
that matters a lot.
Yeah.
That also goes back to that. I mean, not to pontificate more on the optimism, but it's like that kind of optimism is so I don't mean the word community based or something like that, but it's that you are open to the possibility of sharing and it being available to everybody.
Yeah.
And that is something that attitude or that mindset clearly existed with Roosevelt and Pinchot.
Yeah.
And if the attitude of suspicion or what that famine mindset creeps in, then it turns into suspicious about everybody. Right. Like, what do they want out of this? Yeah. Why don't we want them to contribute? Why do they know my hunting spot? Like, what do they have to say about any of this? And it's. I feel like maybe we can be a good thing is to be infectious in the positive way with optimism.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's what that track is part of. And I think that idea of like sharing your public land. The first thing that came to mind was St. Joe River Valley, some areas of the that I won't disclose in the Catskills. Some of the spots where like I came out and I saw this incredible valley at sunset with this creek with massive glacial boulders on it flowing through it. And I know there's bear over here and a buck over here because I've seen them.
Yeah.
And I know there's brook trout in that stream too. Yeah. Also not telling. And it's like, what else do you want, man?
Right.
It's one of the most beautiful things you could possibly have.
Yeah.
And I'd love to share that with people.
Yeah. Well, we'll be putting the link up and letting the world know, but
yeah,
it's all going to be attributable to Joe.
Oh, no. As ever, all good things require teamwork and the combination of like working together to make something great. Like, that's just what it is. I mean, as much as I wish I knew all the things that biologists know and that like all the things you or Marcus knows or Hal knows, it's like the beautiful part of that is you get the benefit of everybody's experience and focus on their things to create a coalition that makes things ever better.
Right.
And that's the optimism I think that the hunting community is looking for. Like I work with BHA's podcast. I always thought that was great that Ryan's a part of that. It's like, here's another dude that's the exact same. Yeah. That has a wealth of experience and a great backstory and what a communicator. Yeah. So let's just keep growing the coalition.
No, I agree. And I just feel that and when I connect the dots of all the amazing people I've met, because of what hunting has let me do with my life, you and Hal, and I mean the list goes so far. That's another part about this abundance mindset is you view everyone as a collaborator and not a competitor.
100%.
And that's how I approach life. How can I collaborate? How can I be of benefit to somebody because I know they have something that's of benefit to me?
How can I be a friend? I mean, how can I help you? How can I like if Hal calls me and he's like, hey man, I got a question to you about X, Y, and Z, I'm like, what with marketing or something or like whatever. Like, oh, well, Jim, about this, let's just talk.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same thing. It's like, I want to be a help to you. And that's actually, you can tell real great leadership. I'm sure, I don't know positives, but I bet you this resonates, is that great leadership is empowering the people that know so that you can raise them to the point where they can perform. And you're just facilitating those ideas around those things. And great, like that's what you're doing by getting people, bringing coalitions together to raise the voice of the public for their public lands. Leadership isn't like micromanaged directions.
No.
It's like that's about as little leadership as it gets.
Right. Yeah, that's called a control freak.
Yeah, exactly. You really want leadership to be empowering the people that you've already trusted to bring on board to do things with you so that your mind can relax to focus on this other thing, and then they can shine in their talents.
Yeah.
And that's where that, I'm sure the hunting world has done that. I mean, I'm still blown away that you took a chance. And that B, it led to me knowing guys like Hal or Katie McCaleb, who used to work at BHA, or yourself. It's like, I'm just so lucky to be the tiniest of tiny footnotes on the last page of like the story of it, and also to connect with it in such a deep way. You know, I don't know what it is about being out west that like it's just totally grabbed me, but it has.
Well, there's no one who's ever been on this podcast, Joe, that has worked for the circus, who has played the Grand Ole Opry.
That's true.
Who has shot a monstrous whitetail in the Catskills.
Yeah.
And I could go on. And that's what makes you one of the most interesting people I know.
I'll tell you a fun story about the Opry. That show, which was filmed December 2nd of 2006, I was standing, and they have a picture of it. They have a piece of the old floor on there. And it was a commercial break. And I looked at Ray and I said, so this is where Hank Williams introduced you. Because he and Hank Williams were roommates. I'll tell you
Really?
two.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I'll tell you two Ray stories.
Wow.
And I said, so Hank introduced you here? And he goes, yeah, 55 years ago on this spot is when he introduced me.
Wow.
And I had realized at that point, like my desire to like to play the bass kind of like, it was a little challenged because I had it was kind of an ego thing. And I remember I just stood in awe at that moment.
Yeah.
I can't believe Ray, like after knowing him for a year,
Yeah.
playing with him, I was the first bass player, or at least he said this, I don't know if it's apocryphal, that he gave a solo to. We played a jazz song in the middle of his country set.
Wow.
And so I could solo over it as a bass player. And eventually, like I subbed the gig out to another friend who's an excellent bass player, and he played it for like 5 years. But the other Ray story, which is crazy for a country fan, is that we visited Hank Williams' boyhood home, and we played a concert there. So Ray is taking a tour with a film crew, and they come to a framed, handwritten lyrics from Hank Williams.
Wow.
And it's written, and it's not the greatest handwriting. And I'm standing there next to Ray, and I say, wow, that's really amazing. Hank Williams, I mean, you're talking about the biggest column of songwriting architecture on the planet,
Right.
at least in the Western canon of folk music. And Ray said, oh yeah, I got the whole binder of those at home.
Whoa.
And I was just like, I'm sorry, but he had them.
Wow.
I mean,
Cool.
going up, he had a farm, or he had like a pond and horses and other things. Yeah, that was a wild experience. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate everything, man. Like, again, I feel like I'm just such a tiny piece of any of it. I'm just happy to support as much as I can.
Well, you're doing a great job, Joe.
Thanks,
You are.
Randy.
How you put if people knew how raw of a product you end up with sometimes.
That's true.
Yeah, that's very true. And
there was too much. There was my Midwest honesty. I should have put on a face.
No, it's a lot of times we'll record one and me or one of the crew will be like, "Oh boy, I wonder if Joel will just throw that one in the trash."
I don't think I've thrown anything in the trash.
you
I think
haven't.
one episode, the microphone, it was done remotely.
Yeah.
And I think one episode, it was I just can't recover it.
Right. No, we
redid it.
had to redo that one.
Everything else though is pretty. Yeah, I know it's a dark art. It's not easily understood by people, but I know it. I know how to do it, and yeah, it's always my mission to like I was saying the other day about like branding work. I do a lot of branding work with large companies, and deciding how they sound, and me, you guys everybody I work with having a consistent quality voice.
Mm-hmm.
It built, so that people don't have to go through that extra layer. I always would say, like, you want to remove as much of the middleman layer in terms of brand understanding and connection with people. Now it's like very fancy talk, but it's just basically saying, like, so they don't have to sign on and be like, is the audio quality going to be good this time?
Yeah.
Because they might skip if it's not. So my job is to make it as consistent as possible so that it disappears and only the message comes through.
Yeah. Well, considering what you're working with in terms of a raw product, you do a hell of a job.
Well, I appreciate that.
Very grateful for that.
Thanks. Thanks. I'm happy to be a part of the team, man.
Yeah. Well, I just, when I told you when you swing by the office, you better carve out an hour or two because we're going to do a podcast. You looked at me like, what? What are we going to talk about? I mean, look, we are an hour and 29 minutes into this, Joe, and we could go on.
I got
hours.
I got circus stories.
Yeah.
I can tell you it's the easiest way to meet people is you roll into town anywhere and they're like, what do you do? And you're like, oh, I'm in the circus. And it's immediate friends. That happened to me so many times. I remember going into Baltimore and going and doing my laundry somewhere and midday, and I went into next door and I got lunch, and the waitress says, oh, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm in the circus. She's like, excuse me? She's like, you got to meet my friends. So that night, she drove me around, and I met all of her friends in Baltimore. It was wild, and it's like that kind of thing happens all the time. Or like the parties at the circus.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say about that is that the band leader used to say it's the greatest show on earth, and what the audience sees isn't bad either. And that is true. I mean, you'd see
an after-hour party with a bunch of circus workers.
Well, there used to be train parties because you lived in the train yards. So like your train, the circus train would park in a train yard, and then so you would either take the bus. They had a school bus on the train that would take all the performers to the arena.
Okay.
So you'd either get on the bus or you'd drive your car to the train yard and park next to the train, and you'd live there. And then, so yeah, they'd throw parties there, man. And, it was certainly something.
I bet.
You did run into some people that would protest the circus after a while. It was pretty wild. But you'd spend weeks in town. You'd spend 3 weeks in Houston, 2 weeks in Baltimore.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Okay. You were there for a lot. You got to know places.
Yeah.
And most of since I was only with them for about half a year to 3/4 of a year, before I moved to the city and I got a job doing what I do now with another company before I made my own, was I would just drive around. I got most of the eastern U.S. covered with them. And they actually, the other thing that's wild is that they spent most of their stops in Ohio. That's the most heavily visited state for them. That's why most of the band members bought houses in Ohio.
Really?
Yeah.
Ohio is the home of Ringling Brothers.
No.
Not the home, but
that's in Florida.
But it's where they do a lot of shows.
That's what so many cities are dense right there. So they really
Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus, blah blah blah.
Oh yeah. It's very packed, and it's next to Pennsylvania. It's next to the South. It's easy to get to and from. It's pretty fun.
Well, when I was a kid, there was a show called Toby Tyler Joins a Circus.
I don't know it.
You never seen it? Oh, you're not.
The one I did see that you said was the Red and Green Show. I did grow up watching that.
Yeah. I mean, if you grew up where I did, you got to watch all Canadian TV out of Winnipeg. SCTV, which it was Second
City, yeah.
Which is where a lot of the Saturday Night Live talent originated. A lot of that stuff. I mean, yeah. We that's
we can keep going.
Yeah, but no, joining a circus.
Oh, I'll tell you the story of that.
Yeah, how did you get hired by a circus?
I don't mean to burn your SD card up with these, but how I managed to get hired. I moved to New York after that program. I was living in New Orleans. I moved to New York City. I had kind of just decided I was burned out, and I was going to focus on doing commercial audio work. So, but I needed a job because I think I brought $6,000 to New York City. And I was like, I'll live on this for 6 months.
Good luck with that.
I'm not a CPA. I apologize. I'm a musician. I do rudimentary math in my head. And of course, within like a month and a half, I'm broke. Mm-hmm. And so I got a job being a secretary at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, doing like fundraising work for them, shipping things out, answering phones, setting up events. It's my first 9 to 5, honestly. Otherwise, I'd painted houses and cut lawns and done gigs my entire life. Never really had a boss. And so I remember I took the train home one day and I was just I said a prayer. I was like, God, if I would really like to play the bass again for my living. I can't, I don't want to do a day job anymore.
Yeah.
And I walked up to my apartment. I got in the front door and a phone call. My buddy Jason called me. He said, "Hey man, I just subbed in the circus and they need a bass player. Would you like to join?" I'm not joking. That literally happened within a half hour of me getting home. And I just went, absolutely, I'm in. Yeah. 100%. And they're like, okay, well, you don't need to audition because they know you're good because it's coming from me. And we had played in like a very expert ensemble together.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, cool. So the band leader called me. He says, okay, man, you don't need an audition. You just need to be in Cincinnati by Friday so you can watch the bass player play the gig. And then you're just going to sight read the gig. Sight reading means they just put the music in front of you and you just read it as it happens.
Okay.
So that's a talent that studio musician, as if you're trained like I was to be a studio dude, you would know how to do that. And I said, cool. So that was a Wednesday, I believe, or a Tuesday. And I go into the office the next day and they're like, hey, what are you up to? And I was like, not much. I am quitting. I will not be showing up on Monday. And they said, why? What'd you get? I was like, I have joined the circus. And they're like, excuse me? I said, no. It's literally true. I've joined Ringling Brothers. I'm not coming back on Monday. Yeah. I will see you later. And so I was a temp, so it wasn't like any big deal. Right. They wrapped up my stuff. And then, I flew with a suitcase and my bass to Cincinnati. The band director picked me up in his old Buick, which broke down on the bridge. And then I just sat and watched the bass player play the gig. And then I got on a train and went to Washington, D.C. And that's when I was in D.C. against them. I got called on the train ride there to do demos for a Cadillac commercial, which is the first big gig I'd ever had.
Okay.
And I had a PC that the screen wouldn't stay on, like it was falling off, and I couldn't sync it. You know how like all your guys sync audio with time code? Yeah. They just go, oh, you got to clap and sync stuff up. Well, but this was so rudimentary that I had to write all the time code down in the video that I wanted sound effects to occur. Then I had to go create all the sound effects and synthesizers to work with this stuff and continue to marry it up over and over again. It took me 18 hours to do 30 seconds of audio. And it was just because of the setup I had. And they were really impressed. They said, you're hired. Please come to New York. We'd like to meet you. Oh. I was like, okie dokie. I can do this after Sunday night because I was in the Verizon Center of DC playing the circus. There's got to be a picture of me in this orange silk shirt with a cloud vest, and I'm just sitting there like studying over this computer, sweating over this computer, trying to do anything I can to get off the circus. Anyway, I got hired, and eventually that led to doing a bunch of high-profile audio branding work, and I ended up moving to New York right after that.
So, parents, if your kids call and say, "Hey, I'm joining the circus," it may lead to unbelievable opportunities.
You never know. Yeah. You never know. It was a real fascinating experience. There's a lot of sideshow stuff.
You've told me some of those. Those probably aren't suited for this podcast.
No.
But some of them you've told me fulfill the I don't know if you'd call it stereotype, but the vision of what I have.
Oh, yeah.
Of what it's probably like to work for our circus.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff, man, and there's some wild people, and it's all good. It's such a blessing just to like have had that experience. And I can tell you, I ended up composing this concert for a town in southern Italy. This is another tangent, but we had to perform it in a town in the west of Italy. So I go there, and the guy that picks me up from the train station, you fly in from Milan, take a train. The guy picks me up, and we start talking and our broken English and our broken Italian. And he says, it comes up that I was in the circus, and wouldn't you know this guy was too, in Italy. And it's this weird bonding experience you have with people who have smelled elephant shit and cotton candy blending together in an unholy perfume. to be I mean, you'll never forget that experience walking into an arena, and it's just like boom, elephant dung and cotton candy. It's just like it's in your face. But it's funny. There is I mean, my friend Karen, her family is circus back to the mid 1700s. It's crazy. I think it's from Andalusia.
Someone needs to do a documentary or a movie about living in the circus and being a third generation or fifth generation
Oh yeah, for
circus
sure,
worker.
for sure. Yeah, I mean
That would be colorful.
we had tigers, we had zebras, we had horses, we had the dog act that won America's Got Talent was on our circus, which was crazy. I mean, oh god, yeah. Well, anybody who listens to this is going to take away that I live in New York and I'm a circus weirdo. But
Who loves to hunt?
yeah, well, I mean, who doesn't?
Who does amazing things with audio?
Yeah, that's what I try and do. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's crazy to think that I've been a musician for 40 years,
Oh,
but that's the case.
yeah.
And yeah, and anytime you want to come to New York, I tell you what, you owe it to yourself, probably maybe to deliver that elk head to TR in person, or
Yeah.
but if you do, you should really go see Sagamore Hill.
No, I would definitely.
And see TR's his final resting place.
Yeah.
You'd probably go with TR.
I would. I'd go with his great grandson Ted and say, "Hey, while I'm here,
Oh, you got to, man.
yeah, take
I've
me
been.
over to the family headquarters."
You should. And there's a little park you can walk, a very short nature trail to the various inlets on the Long Island Sound.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And the taxidermy, the story, the National Park Service people do a fantastic job of leading you through like where they were at, where he was at, what kind of choices he was making, what life he was going through at the time. And I can only imagine with his great grandson, like how incredible that would be.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you do, I would love to be a fly on the wall.
Well, have you come with?
I would love to.
Yeah.
It's an incredible place, truly.
Yeah, I won't tell him you work for the circus.
It's a great icebreaker.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thanks so much for all you do.
Thank you for entrusting it to me.
Yeah. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your time today. And I hope the rest of your trip to Montana and the Rockies is a great trip.
Oh, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic here.
Well, thanks for listening, folks. Appreciate it.